7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. T-minus for minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. Stand by.
How about that?
Ba, 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 ba. Welcome, everybody, to a very special week of the RP Show. We're coming at you on the Game Plus Television Network and a variety of other very exciting platforms. It's RP here. Mitchell Scruffy Blair coming up in mere moments. And in hour two, a guy that you've heard me talk about a lot. Finally got a chance to get him on the air. Joe Lozito. He's making a northern tour. Joe Lozito of Long Island is in Canada on a junior hockey tour. So we can talk all things Coupe de Grey, hockey, Buffalo Bills getting smashed here in Miami, and whatever else. Hello, Scruffy. Happy Monday. You survived the weekend. Good to see. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm good. You see my shirt? I'm ready to go for the Grey Cup.
do.
How about you?
I have to. You still have stuff with that logo. I'm shocked.
Yeah, well, it's cold in Florida. Everybody's bitching about it, and I can actually pull my sweatshirts out of the tickle trunk and wear them because most days you die around here if you wore. Okay, let's get down to business, everybody. You're wearing Seahawks, I see. Super Bowl favorites, right? Yeah, I knew it.
They are right up there.
Hang on. That was not I'm not opening the door. Just hang on. We're starting with a quick 6 show topics and the big story. And listen, I can't imagine what it's like where you are across Canada. Here, CNN, Fox News, ESPN, everybody talking about one thing, Mitch. Number one, David Rodriguez scored his second goal of the game in the 106th minute, and Atletico Ottawa won the Canadian Premier League's North Star Cup in a snowstorm Sunday night in Ottawa, beating defending champions Cavalry FC of Calgary 2-1. TD Place was blanketed by heavy snowfall with plows brought out to clear the turf before extra time. I'm not joking when I say everybody's talking about it. I can imagine that it is in Canada. They are here in the U.S. For those, I was thinking of giving producer Corey a photo to put up, but just imagine this. Football stadium, soccer field, covered in snow and a blizzard, and they played in it. That's pretty awesome stuff, man. That's Canadian. It's clearly on your radar.
That reminded me a lot of the Grey Cup. I forget what year it was, Roddy. It was the year that Calgary got beat by
2017.
Toronto and Bo Levi Mitchell threw the interception to Matt Black in the end zone.
2017 in Ottawa.
Everybody talked about that one because it was the Shania Twain halftime show where she came in on the dog sled. But that's what that game reminded me of when I saw the highlights of that. And what a moment. And the guy, it's tough enough doing a bicycle kick as a soccer player as it is, but to do it in a blizzard, good for you, kid.
Well, and how about this? Yeah, so Ottawa wins it at home, and it looked great and all that. And then I opened my phone this morning, and because our buddy AJ Jakubic called the game. It was ice in the broadcast booth. I'm like, ew, nope. But he was enjoying it. They all seemed to enjoy it. But then I saw this. I don't want to name the guy. I can't even remember his name. We follow each other on Twitter, but he said that the CPL should be embarrassed to making the players play in this. And for about 1.7 seconds, he got me. And I actually texted my 12-step sponsor, Bob. He's a soccer guy. I'm like, should they feel bad about making these kids play in this snowstorm? And he's like, what do you think? I said, if you're going to play outdoor sports in Canada, you better be prepared to play in the snow. My God. What? Have you seen this talk?
No, I haven't, but I just sort of shake my head at it. I look back to Canada at a World Cup qualifier a couple of years ago.
In Edmonton? I remember.
And one of the iconic moments was a guy scoring a goal for Canada and then leaping into a snowbank.
Wasn't it Alphonso Davies?
I think
it was Alphonso Davies.
It was...
Okay.
I forget who it was, but it wasn't Davies, though. It was one of their midfielders.
Yeah, well, either way, listen, soccer already has a reputation of being soft. Don't add to it, bro. Don't spoil what looked like a really great night in Canadian sport. Okay, moving on to point 2. It's why so many people came here today. The Grey Cup countdown is on. The 112th Grey Cup. The CFL Championship will be played next Sunday in Winnipeg. The Montreal Alouettes will take on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Montreal took the East Final Saturday with a 1916 walk-off win at Hamilton, and the Rough Riders claimed the Western Crown with a now controversial 24-21 home victory over the BC Lions. Come on, let's stir it up. Come on, Scruffy. You haven't lost your ability to stir it up. My God, you were doing it all last week. But tell the viewers why you exploded like that.
There's a picture out that Amar Doman put up of...
This
and
is the owner of the BC Lions, everybody.
Yes. That's like magnified about 1,000 times, and it shows that maybe the ball was on the turf when Tommy Neal caught it.
Winning touchdown with 11 seconds to go.
Tommy Neal caught that football. There's no doubt in my mind. I came home on Saturday night after watching a couple of great University of Regina Cougar basketball games. I watched the final drive again. I had seen it at the university on my phone. Tommy Neal caught that football. There was nothing in the replays that showed me that he didn't. The command center looked at it. Rod, I know the command center will never, ever screw the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
The photo showed the ball touch the ground, bro.
No, his elbow is underneath, and I have no qualms on that at all. And as I said, now I understood this morning that, I don't know because I haven't seen this, that Amar Doman has taken it back, and he said, okay, fine, it was a catch. But I haven't seen that, if that has happened. No. I heard that this morning, but yeah, it was a catch. Let's move on. The BC Lions had a chance to win that football game. They had two chances. Keep the football after the Corey Mace field goal, which I think after Corey Mace decided to kick the field goal. I can't imagine what it was like in that stadium when that decision was made. But Corey Mace had faith in his defense. His defense came through against arguably the top offense in the league. And then the defense couldn't make the stop when it mattered.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. Amar Doman's been on this show multiple times. He's my favorite owner in the CFL. And when I follow him on Instagram, he follows us. We go back and forth all the time. And with the photo, I'm like, oh, well, maybe he's right, but who cares? Throw it on top of the pile of anybody that's gotten screwed. Welcome to sports, Amar. That was my thinking on that. Say what? Well,
yeah, exactly.
I'm thinking Flames 2004 Game 6 Stanley Cup Final clearly comes to mind, and any other incidents of you getting jobbed by a call. My God, I got 3, 4, 5 terrible wounds and scars from teams I was with, and I'm sure you do too. Welcome to sports, Amar. So what are we going to do? Go back and play it? So this ain't new. There was a play very similar to that last night on Sunday Night Football, deemed not a catch. I'm not sure if you were watching it or not. But anyways, add a little fuel to the fire. We're going to, listen, obviously, Scruffy, I'm going to get to the orders with you. And I want to ask you if the orders window is closed.
Gotta go. So I think we're having some problems.
Think about that in the break. We got NHL to get to, NFL, a lot of things. Yeah, plus viewer takeover. Joe Lozito coming up in hour 2 on his Northern Canadian tour. We'll be right back. We're live across Canada and 32 states on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live, podcast, and as always, 1700 AM Mission Radio.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
All right, welcome back, everybody, on a Monday. The regular gang is all here, plus Scruffy. Settle in, have fun for the next couple hours here on the RP Show. Joe Lozito coming up next hour. Scruffy, from the audience regarding Amar Doman of the BC Lions owner saying that it wasn't a catch on the game-winning touchdown. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in. He says, actually, Rod, I saw a clear photo. It was his elbow down. Mark in Melfort writes in. He says, there's a list a mile long of teams getting screwed on calls, and even after call being reviewed by the command center. I'm not interested in going down the road of whether it was a catch or not. They ruled on it. The game's over. Add it to the list of pissed off teams. That's just the way that I'm ready to move on. Now, to that East Final, they were both great. I think we can agree they were both great. Paul in Winnipeg writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, hi, Rod. BC deserved a better fate. Prevent defense on the last drive. No way. That's the one thing. I thought BC would come after him. It's funny how the two games mirrored each other. Bo Levi could only stand on the sidelines as Montreal marched it down the field and won on a walk-off field goal. The odds were that the Riders would not score a touchdown to win the game, but they did. How about Davis Alexander? I guess he's not a rookie, but the young quarterback for Montreal, Mitch, he's now 13-0. I'm wondering if he'll lose in our lifetime.
Well, that's a good question. I have a question to ask you because I did not see all of that game. I was sort of doing some stuff in and out. And I turned at one point, McLeod Bethel Thompson was in the football game. Did Davis Alexander tweak the hamstring again?
Yeah, but he says he's fine.
He says
he came back
fine.
in. Yeah.
Because I saw him holding for the field goal. But he says he's fine. And that could be a huge storyline going into Sunday.
Dunk, dunk, dunk. Shoot him up. Shoot it up if you can. Huge storyline? It is the huge storyline. And of many. It's Saskatchewan versus Montreal in the 112th Grey Cup. And by the way, that's our poll question today for EMJ Marketing Elite Speakers Bureau. Check out their website at emjmarketing.com. Who will win the 112th Grey Cup? As you can tell by my shirt that I'm wearing, I'm all in on the Rough Riders. Da, 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 da. Are you, Mitch? Are you thinking Canada's team will pull this out Sunday?
Yeah, I think the Saskatchewan Rough Riders will win this game. I think it's going to be a defensive struggle, but I think the Riders can win this game. I just don't think they're to be denied. And I'm looking at the forecast. They're calling for snow in Winnipeg next weekend. At least they were yesterday. I just think this is a game where A.J. Ouellette could take over.
Okay, well, last I saw, now this was last night I wrote the column, it was going to be +3 and clear. So we'll see. It's a long ways away. It is Canada after all. By the way, so we're talking about the Grey Cup. We will be all week working on some great CFL guests. No, we're not going to the show, to the Grey Cup, not taking the show to Grey Cup this year. I had a great time in Vancouver last year, but I actually have duties here in Florida, and I can't leave. But here's
do
a
they
great
allow you
segue.
in Winnipeg still?
They actually like me there, and they shouldn't, but they do.
Okay.
And yeah, so I don't know why. I spent a lot of money in that town, as you know. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, what an exciting pair of games in the CFL on Saturday. Both games were down to the final minute. I say it every year, and the CFL never disappoints me. The CFL shines this time of year. And trust me, we'll come back on all of this. But Ron in Calgary writes in. He's watching on Game Plus TV right now, Mitch. And he says, as fans, we keep criticizing our teams. I'm a Flames fan and okay with what comes with a rebuild. But how about our neighbors to the north? Now, that's a crap show. He wants to throw crap at the Oilers.
Yep.
Nice. Thank you, Ron, for the segue. They lost 9-1 to Colorado on Saturday night, everybody. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah. I came home from the basketball games. By the way, I just want to say congratulations to U of R women's Cougar player Jade Belmore, who set the record for most points in a career on Saturday night. She had 1,440 career, so congratulations to her. But I came home, and the game was just starting, and Cale Makar had already scored to make it 1-0. Fine, great, good. Makar scores again to make it 2-0. It's like, oh, geez, okay. Then they get the goal that was taken back. And I'm like, oh my God, like they just look terrible again tonight. Second period starts, it hits 5-0, and I said, that's it. Good night, I'm done. I get up at about 3 in the morning, because, you know, old man has to go to the bathroom. Check my phone to see what the final was. Went, oh my God, 9-1? Like, I'm sorry. Like, and again, like, I know that teams will have bad games, and the Oilers had one. This is rock bottom. Like, you can't be embarrassed like that on national television. And they better have a better performance tonight at home against the Columbus Blue Jackets on Prime. But it's pretty obvious that there's a lot of problems behind the blue line. And it's not just Stuart Skinner. Darnell Nurse continues to be horrible. Evan Bouchard's game is not improving. Changes need to be made in Edmonton, and they need to be made pronto. And I almost wonder if removing Paul Coffey from the bench is something that they want to reconsider.
Well, if there ever was a mutual decision, because I always say it's never mutual, but in the case of Coffey, I believe that it was. So I think he wanted to walk. I mean, does he want to come back? That'll be up to
I
Paul
don't know.
Coffey.
They also need Zach Hyman back.
We'll get to the comments from the viewers, but it's me and Scruffy's time here right now. But I'll put this to you. Yeah, it should be must-see TV tonight. Columbus at Edmonton in one of 4 NHL games. Interestingly, our viewers writing in on our Instagram poll, they say Florida at Vegas tonight is the game of the night, rematch of the 2023 Stanley Cup Final. But before long, Carter Hart will be appearing in a Vegas Golden Knights uniform. And I just want to put this to you. If everybody wants to piss and moan in Edmonton about the goaltending, which they routinely do, and after Saturday night, I don't blame you. You could have signed Carter Hart. He's from there. You were afraid of the backlash. Couldn't. Well, I'm just saying.
You couldn't.
Then don't bitch.
No, I know where you're going. I know where you're going on that. And there are a lot of guys out there. I know there's the UC Saros is the flavor of the month right now in Edmonton. Ilya Sorokin is. I know what you're saying about Carter Hart, Rod, and I'm sorry. Like, I just, a Canadian team signing Carter Hart, that would just be, you're asking for trouble if you do that. As far as an American team goes, yeah, it's not ideal, and I'm not going to get into that whole situation with those players, because no matter what you say, you're going to piss somebody off. So,
yeah.
Like, the Carter Hart thing, like, a Canadian team could not sign him. And I don't know what it's going to be like for the Knights when they make a Canadian road trip. When they go to Toronto, and I think I've said this on this show before, the happiest person that might be the fact that Carter Hart's a Vegas Golden Knight might be Mitch Marner. Because when Vegas goes to Toronto, the Mitch Marner situation may be swept under the carpet because the national media will get a chance to talk to Carter Hart.
Or they won't. I'll tell you what, there is a swing, and now's not the time to get into it, but teams not making their players available is a huge thing now, more than it's ever been, or teams not wanting to divulge information that they want to. For instance, John Cooper's extension in Tampa Bay, how long it is, people still don't know. Things are changing. So, and all I'm saying is, if anybody wants to whine and moan about the state of Oilers goaltending, which it is a thing, when you're going into Game 5 of the Stanley Cup and you don't know who you're going to start, you've got a problem. It wasn't addressed, and I'm just saying, you could have signed Carter Hart. Scruffy, the Oilers agree with you. 7 Canadian teams agree with you. They couldn't sign him. Vegas did, but you would rather make a statement and avoid the backlash. It's fine. I'm just saying it the way that it is.
No, I know where you're coming from. I don't argue with where you're coming
we're done. We've covered that. We've covered that. So back to this CFL, because that's, again, why people are here today. And it's what we're talking about a lot with Mitch. BC Lions losing late, giving up a game-winning touchdown to the Rough Riders in the West Final Saturday. Mr. Thegov writes in, he says, hey, boys, how come no one is talking about the mind-boggling decision that the Lions made by going into prevent defense at the end of the game? Everybody's talking about it. What do you mean? Everybody's talking about that. I thought that they would.
Hello?
Yeah. Ryan McCarthy in upstate New York, Cardinal Ryan says, true, the game will come down to how Alexander plays with a tweaked hammy. Davis Alexander. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in, he says, is the home team for Grey Cup determined by a team's regular season record? I don't know what it is anymore. Are you following this at all? It obviously used to be if it's in a Western city.
I am. And apparently, from what I've been told, the Grey Cup was in BC last year, Winnipeg this year, Calgary next, then Regina. Usually it's whatever host city, the conference is where the host city is the home team. Because all these games have been in the West, the decision was made that BC last year, Winnipeg this, like they're rotating. So Calgary next year will be the Western Division team, will get the Calgary dressing room. And then in 27, the Eastern Division team will get the Rider dressing room unless the Riders are in the game. That's what I've been told.
There you go. Thank you for explaining that. I didn't know. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he's watching on
in the visitors dressing room.
Visitors. Yeah. Kirk in Toronto writes in on the game. He's watching on Game Plus. Western Dodge text line 902-518-3033 says, hi, Rod. It's the second time this season that Hamilton has lost on a walk-off field goal. They lost to the Argos on a walk-off on Labor Day. How about that? Noni writes in from Calgary. She says, morning, Rod. My heart is still racing after being in the stands and cheering our Riders on to victory. It was stressful when they kicked the field goal rather than going for it on third down, but at least it all worked out. It was good management of the clock. The Riders will win the Cup, and I'll be there to cheer them on. This is a dream scenario for the CFL. Any Bomber fans that don't want to go will have no problem selling their tickets. I hear that they're... What term should I use? They're jacking up hotel prices outrageously because the Riders are in the Grey Cup. But that's business. That's business. But let me say this about Corey Mace.
So, like it was here a couple of years ago?
Of course. It's not new. Totally not new. But can we all, for a moment, stop and observe the prowess of Corey Mace, Saskatchewan's head coach? He, as you say, put it on his own defense twice late in the game to get the stops, which they did. Brett Lather's out there kicking field goals. That's putting trust in your people. He was being booed in his own stadium for not going for it on third and goal. If anybody noticed, I was listening. We were all there. Maybe let the coach coach. Can we? And for that, I mean, I hope they win because Corey Mace deserves it. He should get Coach of the Year. But are we all paying attention to how he's coaching this team? Mitch, I know you are.
Rod, as I said, when what was going on happened, I was watching the game on my phone at the University of Regina. And I looked at the clock and I went, he's kicking the field goal. Like, oh my goodness, like, this could be a decision. If the BC Lions keep the football and the Riders don't see it again, I'm thinking the Green Zone post-game show, they could still be going with people that would have been upset with that decision by Corey Mace. But Corey Mace, he didn't use analytics. He used his gut feeling. He said, win me the game, defense, and they did. They got the ball back, and then Trevor Harris did what he did. Maybe the best drive in Trevor Harris's career. But Corey Mace deserves 100% credit for that decision.
And you wonder why some coaches go to the loony bin after coaching the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Some do go on to coach again. Many don't. But it's, and like you said, they win and everybody's like, posting photos of when they saw Corey Mason and memories. And had it not worked out, they'd have been lining up to fire him and trash his house. That's the way
everything
it is.
that was
Okay, hang
done
on. We got a break. We'll be right
back.
back. We're live, everybody, on the Game Plus Television Network. The Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033. It is open for business. And we'll be right back here on Game Plus.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at zasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Lucky you're tuned in during the Canadian hour of the RP show, and the text line's brought to you by Western Dodge. If you're looking for a new Jeep, Dodge, or Chrysler, please make it Western Dodge in Moose Jaw. From trucks to SUVs, Western Dodge has what you're looking for. Visit them in Moose Jaw or online at westerndodge.ca. It's already our final segment with Scruffy. It goes by far too fast. From the audience, Mitch, Nelson writes in, he says, the CFL rotates the home team, now flipping each year. Danny from BC writes in, he goes, that was not a catch. From Danny. Rewind, we covered that earlier, Danny. Tony from Cochrane wants to know who's the favorite in this Grey Cup. It's been answered that it is the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but I don't know by how much. But let me just
They
walk this
are
back.
early 3.5-point favorites.
Ooh, that seems like a lot.
Right now, I might take Montreal to cover because I think this could be a field goal game.
Okay. 3.5-point spread in the CFL championship. My boy Shooty Shoots has just checked in from Tampa Bay from the We the Thunder podcast. He goes, Rod, hey, Shooty, you're seeing my alter ego talking Canadian sports on the Game Plus television network with Mitchell Scruffy Blair. Identify yourself, Scruffy. No, I'm joking.
Hi.
Yeah, but let me just say this. I mean, dude, you should be on for 2 hours with me because I want to get to more NHL, although you don't want to talk about the orders, so that's cool. We should talk about Nathan Rourke and him not pulling it off and him taunting the fans. And Davis Alexander likes to – these young bucks, well, Davis Alexander in Montreal from Gig Harbor, Washington, did deliver on Saturday, but Nathan Rourke did not. What does it mean to his legacy, WestJet, as I'm fond of calling him, that they didn't pull off the upset and go to the Grey Cup? Him being the highest paid player. Doesn't mean anything?
Nope, not to me. Nathan Rourke had a great game, and on a second down play, he didn't deliver. I don't know why the play call was made because I thought a quarterback draw. You know what? I think you use the run pass option. You leak out Butler. You throw a quick slant to Hatcher or McInnes or somebody. I didn't like the play call on second and what was it, 3? But Nathan Rourke's legacy to me didn't take a hit in this game at all. Okay. And you know what, Rod? I don't know because we know that teams can change so much in an offseason with free agency and one-year contracts. But I would think that even though the Saskatchewan Roughriders have had a sensational season that could end with a Grey Cup, that the BC Lions might be the favorite going into the offseason to win the Grey Cup in 2026.
Can we just get this Grey Cup out of the way?
No,
please?
I know, but you know what I mean.
No, I don't actually. But Shooty Shoots writes in and says from the We the Thunder podcast, he says, we love some Canadian sports down here in Tampa Bay. Looking forward to our chat this week about some wild Florida hockey. Yeah, we're doing it Thursday night. I'll be at American Bank Arena joining them live, so I look forward to that. Jeff in Toronto writes in, he says, congrats to Atletico Ottawa. That game in the snow was awesome. Okay, guys, we talked about it with the first point. Go rewind, go back. We talked about it already. Mitch, I got to bring it back on point to you and me. Well, and from the audience. Where do I start? Jeremy writes in from Calgary. He says, hey, Rod, I was at the game. Any idea why they blacked out, or in this case, greened out the Pilsner logo in the Pilsner end zone for a playoff game, but not any other game? Yeah, because Bud Light sponsoring the playoffs. It's okay. You didn't know. Laverne in Swift Current writes in and says, hey, Rod and Scruffy, great CFL games this past weekend. Montreal's defense is really good, but the Riders is a little better. Riders win in a low-scoring affair. Go green. Wayne in BC says, hey, Rod, those results on the weekend make me wonder, why are we changing the rules and size of the field again? They hear, but they don't listen, Mitch. They hear, but they don't listen.
I know.
It's all about expanding the league to get into stadiums where the CFL field won't.
This league die.
Right, won't currently fit. Can we shelve that for a bloody week? Because they're changing it. What do you know sign language? What's the sign for They're going to expand to the U.S. So they need to shrink the field and move the goalposts.
Yep.
What are they not getting?
They're not getting the fact that they don't want teams to make money and they don't want their game to change. And if the game doesn't change, the teams that aren't making money aren't going to be around, and then there'll be no CFL. And then what are you going to do? Then you're going to cry some more.
They'll say, we went down fighting. We wouldn't change, and we went down with a ship.
No, they will. No, you're right.
Just so you know, going down with a ship sounds great until the ship actually starts to go down. Just saying.
We're bailing water. Get me a bucket.
Right. Exactly. I think the captain of the Titanic actually is still rowing in a dinghy if you watch the movie. Brent in Wellington, Florida says, happy Monday, fellas. Shout out to the under-10 Jags flag football team, Super Bowl champions. We're going to have a Grey Cup party. Brent, I'm telling you now. You suggested it, Brent. I'm holding you to it. We're having a Grey Cup party Sunday night in Wellington, Florida. We watched the Sunday Nighter together last night. Such a great guy. Yeah. Oilers in Columbus tonight. Before you run, because we only have a couple minutes left, how bad's it going to be tonight, Mitch? Are they going to take it out on the Blue Jackets, or what are you expecting tonight?
Roddy, they've got to win this game tonight after what happened Saturday. They just have to. Whether it be 3-2 in overtime or 6-2. I just think they have to win this game. And like I said, it hit rock bottom for them. You got embarrassed at home on Hockey Night in Canada. Now, Colorado's a good team, but they're not 9-1.
I hate to pause you, but time's limited. I'm going to ask you, is the window closing or closed for the Oilers?
No, because again, we're only in early November. We're in mid-November. And we were having these discussions last year, and how did it end up?
I just had something in my ear. Sorry. So you're saying they're overreacting up there?
I am. Can we get through 2020? Can we get through the first quarter of the season? Because then it seems like, if we get to this point and it's January 1st, then we can have a discussion. But the last I looked, the Edmonton Oilers are in a playoff spot. Their record is actually better right now than it was last year at this time. And where did the Edmonton Oilers end up the last 2 years? So people want to push the panic button. I understand that. Let's talk about what's going on in Toronto. Oh, nobody wants to talk about that.
Every other show is. And by the way, thank you for the cue, producer Corey, who is operating today's show from Edmonton. You're doing an amazing job. He was there, he tells us, to witness the bloodletting on Saturday. Were you there, Corey? Or just in the city? Okay. No, he wasn't at the rink, but he was in Edmonton for the bloodletting the other night. But here's the thing. David in Winnipeg writes in, David number 1, he says, the Winnipeg Jets are slumping a bit in California. I don't like it. Can we not? I will say this about the Oilers. Like, you guys have been up and down more than a Rogers Place toilet seat in the men's room, but at least look at the Flames. Look at the Flames. My God. It's funny that Ron in Calgary would be pointing out what a gong show the Oilers are because he didn't want to talk about the Flames. It's been mostly down for the Calgary Flames. What is it like up there with regard? Are anybody even talking about them at all?
If they are, I'm not hearing it.
Yeah, they're just done. Oh my God. It's not even Remembrance Day. We're a day away from it, but it's not even Remembrance Day. I feel bad. I really do, but I'm not defending the Flames. I'm not defending the Oilers. I don't even know if the window's closed, but Mitch being the voice of reason today, which said no one ever, but it is still November, so you're right.
But by the way, you had the person talk about the Winnipeg Jets. I watched the Anaheim Ducks and the Jets last night. That Anaheim team, they are good.
They've arrived. Well, I'll talk about this next segment, but the NHL's got to be real excited. Chicago looks like they're rolling now. Anaheim's rolling. All the young stars. And Sid, up until last week, was leading the NHL in goal scoring. Ovi just hit 900. These are really good times in the NHL, and quite frankly, I can't wait to talk about it post-Grey Cup. But again, it's the biggest week in Canadian football, and that's what we've been talking about today with Mitch, and I will be talking about it after this break once he adjourns, and also tomorrow with Scruffy on our November 11th episode. Okay, Mitch, thanks. Go worship the Seahawks or do whatever it is you do on a Monday afternoon.
All right. Have a good one.
Sports update coming up next, everybody, and viewer takeover the rest of the way with whatever you would like to talk about Canadian sports. We'll be right back after this timeout. We're live across Canada and 32 U.S. states on the Game Plus TV network and more.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Okay. For those that just showed up, and apparently a lot have just showed up, there's a lot that we have not gotten to yet here on this Monday edition of the RP Show. Scruffy and I got hung up on three things. Atletico winning the Canadian Premier League title last night. I'll just give you a quick recap of what we talked about so far in the quick six show topics. I don't even know what the score was, but Ottawa beat Calgary in a snow globe in Ottawa. Saw some Rudy Poo, I'm sorry to say it, saying the players should not have been forced to play in those conditions. A blizzard in Ottawa. Hello, it's Canadian outdoor sports. Get a life. Talked about the Grey Cup combatants and Saturday's divisional finals on the CFL. 2 last-second victories by Saskatchewan and Montreal. It's been awesome, and we're getting it ready for the Grey Cup in Winnipeg, 112th edition. And then a little NHL and the Oilers, and that's it. That's all we had time for, and it took 40 minutes. Can you believe that? The Junior Hockey Report. We do it every day for the Mad Greek and Moose Jaw. 6 Western Hockey League players hit the score sheet as Canada Red skated to a 6-3 victory over Canada White in the gold medal showdown at the 2025 Under-17 World Challenge. Yeah, that's how we do it in Canada. Beat Canada 6-3 on Saturday. 10 WHLers won gold with Canada Red, in addition to head coach Ryan McDonald of the Prince Albert Raiders. We had him in Regina, and I love that kid. And also goaltending consultant Jeff Harvey of the Saskatoon Blades. Basically, it's nobody else is as good as us, so we're going to play against each other. We're going to split ourselves. And it's true. It's not arrogance. It's just the way that it is. Brought to you by the Mad Greek Eatery. Whether it's pizza, ribs, or authentic Greek favorites, make it the Mad Greek Eatery tonight. Open until 11 p.m. Order online, pick up, or dine in. Check them out at themadgreekeatery.com. Sports update. For the Ultimate Fan Zone, your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. Visit them today or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca. The 2025 Grey Cup Festival officially kicks off today in Winnipeg. After a week of luncheons, parties, and a Brad Paisley concert, the Saskatchewan Roughriders and Montreal Alouettes will square off Sunday in the 112th CFL Championship game at Princess Auto Stadium in the Manitoba capital. American rapper-singer Machine Gun Kelly will headline the halftime show. Meanwhile, Oilers captain Connor McDavid challenged his teammates to raise their intensity after a 9-1 loss to the Colorado Avalanche on Saturday. McDavid will see how Edmonton responds when it hosts the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight in one of 4 games. In another interesting matchup, the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers visit the Vegas Golden Knights. And it's a classic Monday Night Football countdown. Dun, 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 as the Green Bay Packers host the Philadelphia Eagles tonight in a showdown of NFL division leaders. The 5-2-1 Packers lead the NFC North, while the 6-2 Eagles are atop the weaker NFC East. That is your sports update, proudly presented by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store. Moose Jaw. Get your game day gear in-store or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. So this will be the second time that I have updated for those that have asked. No, I'm not going to the Coupe de Grey, the Grey Cup, for a variety of reasons. For many reasons. One is I got duties here in Florida and a job here in Florida that I can't get away from Friday night. It's in the football world, and I'm enjoying that. Number 2, I'm coming back to Canada the weekend of November 29th and staying for a week. I have a couple speaking engagements there. And both of them actually feature Corey Mace, the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We were extolling his virtues earlier. Will he be bringing the Grey Cup to those events? Stay tuned. Yeah. What do we have here? James Warnicky. Thank you, James Warnicky writes in. He says, I just want to say how enjoyable the Hardy Cup was as well. Yeah, last second victory for the Huskies over the Rams right at Griffith Stadium. They will now host the Queen's Golden Gales in the Mitchell Bowl this Saturday in Saskatoon. Everybody thinks I'm not paying attention to this stuff. Oh, I am. There's just not enough time to talk about it all. But thank you, James, for tuning in today and bringing that out. David number 1 in Winnipeg. How do we feel about this? David number 1, because there are 3 from Winnipeg that watch our show and write in. He says, David Naylor reporting that the Argonauts have requested and were granted permission to speak with Mike O'Shea. Oh, thought we weren't supposed to be talking about that stuff during Grey Cup week. Oh, it's TSN. We make our own rules. Oh, okay. There's some trollers in here. There's some bitter people. Scott in Toronto writes in, this is interesting. He says, thank you for not talking Maple Leafs. As I said, everybody else is. So I think that speaks, I don't know why this show is popular. I frankly have no idea. But part of the reason I think is across Canada is all the other networks are talking about the Leafs and the Toronto teams. We talk about every other team. I think there's a big enough market for that. But it's funny. Got our guy, Brent from Wellington. We were discussing this last night. Panthers are 500 and people are upset. The Florida Panthers. We do the show on the Panthers. Brent's on it from time to time. And I'm like, we're just praying that the Panthers stay relevant and win because I'm going to tell you something. The second they don't, it'll be off a cliff here. And our show won't be that popular. I've lived here long enough to know if you're winning, they love you. If they don't, bye. It's a little like us with the Blue Jays, I'm sorry, in Canada. It's the way that it is. Raptors too. Gary in Winnipeg writes in, he says, it seems that this year's start to the NHL season has been topsy-turvy. The Panthers, Oilers, and Jets are struggling. Meanwhile, the Canadiens and Devils are near the top of the standings. Buckle up for a roller coaster ride. Yeah, exactly. And once the Grey Cup is over, we will be all over it. You didn't mention the Ducks, who have won now 7 in a row. It didn't take long to get the hockey people out of their armchairs. That same Ron in Calgary writes in, he says, remember, at the moment, we are only 3 wins behind Edmonton. He's talking about the Flames. And 5 wins out of a playoff spot. I know where we are at Rod, and okay with rebuilding. I analyze the crap out of them. Like everybody in Calgary. You're a Canadian NHL market. I get it. Laverne writes in, says, reminder, 16 games in, the Oilers' record is 6-6-4. Plus minus, Bouchard minus 11, Nurse minus 9. 20% of the Oilers games are now complete. Really close to panic time for Oilers fans. You go panic away. Just keep it away from me. Kirk in Toronto writes in, hey, Rod, Davis Alexander. That's the Montreal quarterback. He's not even a household name in Montreal yet, but he will be if he wins this Sunday in the Coup de Grey. Says Davis Alexander played on one leg in the fourth quarter, and no, his hamstring won't recover for the Grey Cup. Macbeth is a capable backup if needed. Are you sandbagging already? Are you making excuses already? Because that's what it sounds like to me. Oh, our quarterback's hurt, so. Jeff the Stamps fan says, Rod, is there a show tomorrow? That is an affirmative. Right, producer Corey? We agreed on that? There's a November 11th show tomorrow, right? As far as he knows, and he's the one running the show. So that is a Texas 10-4, bud. Ryan in upstate New York regarding the Anaheim Ducks. He says, Anaheim took a paddle to New Jersey last Sunday. They're on a heater. They're a good team. It wasn't. You would like to think that their rebuild wasn't going to last forever. Topic for another day, but you just wonder why some teams take so long. Sabres. Some teams take an adequate amount of time. Canadians. And then Anaheim took a little longer. Part of it is it was a far bigger mess. And that, well, we haven't even talked NFL yet, and we're going to next hour as we go to air across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, plus across Canada here on Gameplay. Haven't even got to NFL yet, which I'm enjoying immensely. I assume you all are. Yeah. Teaser for next hour. Who's the coach of the year in the NFL? Who's the MVP of the year in the NFL? Let's remember we're only really halfway through the season. And this whole business about, I don't like the Jets slide. Oilers are panicking. I can't. It's too emotionally exhausting for me. Just take it out of here. That's all. You could go piss and moan, but not here. Giants fired Dable today. I didn't see that, but that doesn't surprise me. I was talking to Chris from the Bronx. The New York Giants are finding new and interesting ways to invent how to lose. And the most recent was yesterday in Chicago. So that doesn't surprise me. Thank you. How did that? Oh, I have my phone on silent. I'm sitting here going, how did I not get that notification? Al in Saskatoon writes in, he says, this Grey Cup brings back memories of 2015 in Winnipeg. The last Grey Cup with Dave Ash and Sandy. Great memories. Go Riders. Dun, dun, dun. I think of Dave Ash, actually, quite a bit, Al. One call and you're there. There you go. Carlos in Indianapolis says, lead story on ESPN, Dayball out. Tell me, I'll find out in the break here who they are replacing him with. Talk about going from the frying pan into the fire. You know what I'm saying? Who mind you, the Giants have a lot of building pieces there, but obviously Brian Dayball from Welland, Ontario is not going to be part of it. Jackson Dart actually setting NFL records. First rookie quarterback to rush for a touchdown in 5 straight games. Cam Scatabo, not even playing. But when you have the lead and you blow it, that's somewhat inexcusable. Jeff says in Toronto, he says the NFL is such a roller coaster. I go crazy with highs and lows. Every league is a roller coaster, bro. Every league. Thank you, Ryan, from upstate New York, saying yes. Dayball out. Mike Kafka named interim head coach. I would say good luck with that. Okay, smoke him if you got him. Joe Lozito joining us next. That's going to be fantastic. He'll tell you what he's all about when we return. Stick around.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Well, aren't you in luck, everybody? Welcome to the RP Show on a Monday, coming in hot. I think if we ever named our episodes, we would call this the yard sale episode. And in a second, you're going to figure out why. It is episode number 1614 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. You know how I know that it's your favorite? It's because you're tuned in here on the Game Plus television network. That's across Canada and 32 U.S. states, and the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, where we air daily across Nevada. Yeah, get inside. Welcome. We have breaking news on this Monday. Although as it hits you, it might not be so breaking, or it might be, I don't know. I will tell you, part of the yard sale theme here is this. Our guest this hour, this Monday, is our good friend Joe Lozito. He is from the Coliseum Chronicles podcast out of Long Island, but he's in Canada on a northern tour, okay? Last I saw, he was in Windsor, Ontario, home of the Spitfires. He is a CFL fan, an NHL fan, a Bills fan. He can cover it all. That's a bit of a yard sale, and I'm a bit of a yard sale. I got my blue glasses, my blue watch, but my Rough Riders shirt, my red poppy in observance of Remembrance Day on November 11th. That's Canada's Veterans Day, everybody. And we're ready to rock and roll, okay, and talk some sports. So let's go. Let's have some fun. Point one. Here's the news. Call it Black Monday. New York Giants coach Brian Daboll is out after the team blew another double-digit lead Sunday in Chicago. It was the second time this season the Giants lost after leading by at least 10 points with under 4 minutes to go. This on a very zany Sunday in the NFL in Week 10, something that I did not see coming, and I don't think the bettors did either. But that game in Chicago, and I'm quite interested to hear from my guy Chris from the Bronx. We were texting back and forth this morning. He is the biggest Giants fan I know, and I know a lot. Can't even remember what he said. Just how disappointing he is. But Caleb Williams threw a touchdown pass and scrambled for a go-ahead score in the fourth quarter, helping the Bears beat Jackson Dart and the Giants on Sunday, as it turns out to be the last game that Brian Daboll ever coached for New York. Led by Caleb Williams, Chicago scored the last 14 points after Younghoe Koo's 19-yard field goal gave New York a 20-10 lead with 10:19 to go. Jackson Dart, the aforementioned, rushed for 2 touchdowns for New York in its 4th consecutive loss. The rookie became the first quarterback in NFL history with at least 1 rushing touchdown in 5 straight games. Doesn't matter now. Brian Daboll is not going to be around to see the fruits of Jackson Dart's career, nor Cam Scatabo, nor Malik Neighbors. The last 2 not even playing. The Giants are not like the Jets. They've won their Super Bowls. What is it, 5? New York's they're both a tire fire, but I feel like the Giants don't fire coaches as lightly as the New York Jets do. But that's the news that you can news, and Mike Kafka is taking over on the interim basis of the New York Giants. So again, here's the thing. We know we're bad, but when we're up in the fourth quarter by double digits, we can't blow it. And that is, I'm sure, what led to the firing of Brian Daboll today in New York. So another coach goes down. Who was the last one? Brian Callahan in Tennessee. That's 2 now, right? This year. Anyways, speaking of this Week 10 and the zaniness in the NFL, which incidentally will conclude Monday night with the Eagles-Packers in a classic clash. 5 underdogs won. Big leads weren't safe. Several games weren't close. Sunday was filled with upsets, comebacks, routes, and statements. And there was some impressive individual performances, too. For instance, Jonathan Taylor had 244 yards rushing for the Colts. Miami's Devin Achane ran for 174 yards. Patriots rookie Trayvon Henderson had a pair of 50-plus yard touchdown runs. That was record-setting, by the way. DeMarcus Lawrence scored twice on fumble returns for Seattle. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford became the first player in NFL history with at least 4 touchdown passes and no picks in 3 consecutive games. It's fun. I mean, the leagues don't want it to be predictable, and I swear to God, coming out of Week 9, I felt like the sediment was settling, and the right teams would win moving forward, and that didn't happen on Sunday. So as I get ready to move on to the next points here, I'll ask you, because I would have said the Buffalo Bills were the best team in the NFL up until yesterday. As you know, I live in Miami or near it. They actually tried at the Dolphins and got paddled by the Finns here at Hard Rock Stadium. And it's like, what the hell? My neighbor Fish said the Dolphins have ruined his love for football. Oh, he's all horny today. And I said, what changed besides the firing of the general manager, Chris Geary? He's like, they're playing for jobs. It's sad that's what it takes sometimes, is a firing, especially of a general manager, to wake up a locker room. But that's what's going on here in Miami. But anyway, so who is for real? And Joe Lozito will be joining us next to talk about his beloved Bills, his New York Islanders, who are home. They're on the road tonight at New Jersey in one of 4 NHL games. And trust me, we're getting to the NHL talk in a second. And as I said, he's on a Canadian tour. And now would be a good time to tell you why it's a big deal in Canadian football this week. But I'll just put this question out to the viewers. 902-518-3033 on the Western Dodge text line. From trucks to SUVs, Western Dodge has what you're looking for. Visit them or check out their inventory online at westerndodge.ca. Who is the best team in the NFL right now, vis-a-vis who's the Super Bowl favorite today? There are those that will tell you it's the Seattle Seahawks. Who's the MVP? There are those that will say it's the Drake May, the quarterback of the New England Patriots, the winners of 7 in a row. And if not Drake May winning an MVP, how about Mike Vrabel as coach of the year? No, Rod, it's got to be Shane Steichen in Indy, said nobody going into the year. So it's been zany. But you know what's also been zany? I'll just dip into point 2. The Canadian Football League season has been zany as hell. I got the numbers to back it up if you cared. Longtime CFL guy here, repping my team that I was with for 20 seasons full-time. They're going to the Grey Cup. That's the CFL Championship, everybody. The 112th Grey Cup will be played in Winnipeg, Manitoba this Sunday. The Saskatchewan Roughriders opposing the Montreal Alouettes for the 3rd time in CFL history. Because this is the U.S. hour, I won't spend as much time on it here this hour as I did last. Virtually all of hour 1 was dedicated to the CFL Championship, the Coupe de Grey. But yeah, all week long we'll be providing coverage. Not going to the game. I got stuff I got to do here in Florida. I'm going to be going back up to Canada in a couple of weeks' time for other stuff, so I don't need to be going now. But doesn't take away my love for the game, and we're going to have a Grey Cup party down here in South Florida on Sunday, and it's just going to be fantastic. By the way, Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon brings you our CFL and NFL picks weekly. Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. The picks, the poll, they kind of morph into one. Today's poll question, which incidentally is brought to you by EMJ Marketing, but who will win the 112th Grey Cup? 67% of you saying the Saskatchewan Roughriders will beat Montreal. That would avenge our 2 losses, 2 games that I broadcast, the Grey Cups of 2009 and 2010 when Montreal beat us in back-to-back years. They're saying it's Saskatchewan's year, 67% of respondents. By the way, does your message stand out? At Outlaw Communications, we make sure it does. Tony Plater brings 35 years of communication and leadership expertise. Don't take my word for it. Check him out at tonyplater.com. Okay, point 3 to the National Hockey League. We teased the viewers that we would be talking about the Grey Cup, obviously, but also the NHL. And is the Edmonton Oilers window closed or closing? But before we get to that, point 3 is this. Of the 4 games tonight in the National Hockey League, voted as the game of the night on our Instagram poll. Go follow our Instagram page at The Rod Pedersen Show. This is like a secondary poll question. Sometimes there's so much going on, we can't just limit it to one poll question. So our second poll question is, what's the game of the night in the NHL? Islanders at New Jersey, Nashville at the Rangers, Florida at Vegas, which is a rematch of the 2023 Stanley Cup Final, which we all know Vegas won in 5. I would like to think that you know that. Or is it the Columbus Blue Jackets at the Edmonton Oilers? Let me come back on the Vegas game in a second, especially since we're airing across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. But from Sunday in the NHL, Gavin Brindley scored 68 seconds into overtime to lift the visiting Colorado Avalanche to a 5-4 victory at Vancouver. 24 hours after the Avalanche destroyed the Oilers 9-1 in Edmonton. We have a very large viewer base in Edmonton. We don't spend 2 hours talking about the Oilers because God knows there's enough coverage in Edmonton about it, but we do talk about the Oilers quite a bit. In hour one of today's award-winning program, we had Mitchell Scruffy Blair on, Hall of Fame award-winning columnist. Mitchell Scruffy Blair. I asked him if the Oilers window is closed, and he's not willing to say that it is, but back-to-back trips to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Florida Panthers, who are at Vegas tonight, floundering at 500 right now, the Oilers, and that loss, 9-1 at home to Colorado Saturday night, tied the worst home loss in Oilers history. And I learned that from listening to Jason Gregor on NHL Radio Sunday on the Sunday Brunch while I was out for my run. Gregor has agreed to come on the air here on Thursday to talk about the Oilers, all of the NHL, a little bit of the coup de grace, and the rest. And I'm not afraid to say it. I know that a lot of people are, but here's one thing about the Oilers with the goaltending situation. They had a lot of problems. Yeah, they used both goalies Saturday night, and they were both bad. I think Stuart Skinner let in 4, Calvin Pickard let in 5. But the Oilers were 0 for 7 on the power play. They always have problems this time of year, the Edmonton Oilers. So I guess my vote on that would be no, the window is not closed nor closing on the Edmonton Oilers. But the other thing, it's just fact that you got the Golden Knights that signed Carter Hart, who was believed to be the next one. At least I thought he was the next one in goal for Canada, an international play. Things happen, but he's back in the NHL. And the Oilers were one of 7 teams in Canada that said they're not going to sign Carter Hart. Vegas didn't mind. And you can talk about the perception and the difference between the two countries. I understand all of that. But the Oilers didn't want to sign him because of off-ice issues. Sometimes we're prisoners of our decisions. That's all. That's all. So I'd far rather talk about tonight's game at the Fortress. I mean, it is a little exhausting when we hear from the Winnipeg Jets fans who say, oh, our team's lost 3 in a row. We're concerned. Oh, my God. There's medication for that, you guys. Or holistic pathways, as we observe 11 minutes after the hour. My point being, while the coaches are glancing at the standings right now, the hockey coaches, I mean, they are. In my day, it was reading the newspaper at the front of the bus. Yeah, well, there it is. But they're not not at the very least until U.S. Thanksgiving, as we call it in Canada, because we celebrate 2 in Canada, Canadian and U.S. Thanksgiving. I don't even personally look at the standings until the new year because the coaches are simply trying to get their team to play their best right now. It's not about who did what around the league on a nightly basis. Right now, it's just window dressing what other teams are doing. They're trying to fine-tune their game. And the Florida Panthers haven't had a real good road trip. They got bombed in Anaheim 7-3, rebounded with a 5-2 loss at L.A., came back, lost Saturday night in San Jose 3-1, and the roadie concludes tonight in Vegas in this rematch of the 2023 Stanley Cup Final. But it's not really even a rematch, okay, because these are different teams, same coaches, but that won't be in the back of anybody's mind tonight when they take to the ice at the Fortress is kind of what I'm trying to say. And that is the game of the night in the NHL. So for those that are going from Las Vegas, consider yourself lucky. While I'm sitting here, I'll just throw this in. What'd I say? The yard sale episode. We're all over the place. Matt Boldy scored in the second period. Kirill Kaprizov added 1 into an empty net, and the Minnesota Wild won their second straight NHL game with a 2-0 decision against the visiting Calgary Flames on Sunday. The Flames lost their second straight, 11th of their first 17. If I don't want to talk about the Calgary Flames, I can't even imagine what the feeling is in the mood and feeling the food in Calgary is right now. Oh, my God. The optimism this summer in Calgary, and I was there, was higher than I've seen in years. And then this. By the way, fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Unbeatable Cleaning Packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. They also bring you my very popular 10 Things, well, the newsletter, which includes my weekend 10 Things column. You can click on the QR code on the screen right now and download that puppy for free, the Rod Squad newsletter. Suds brings you the newsletter in the 10 Things column. You can go read it right now at rodpeterson.com, where I talk about all these things and more. So, like I said, yard sale. Point one was the NHL. Actually, point one was Brian Daboll being fired by the Giants. Point two, NHL last night, NHL tonight. Point three, Canadian Football League and the Grey Cup being played this Sunday, Montreal versus Saskatchewan. Point five, a very brief NBA item, and that is simply this, because we don't talk a lot of NBA here unless the Raptors are winning. There are 9 games tonight, including Cleveland here at Miami. And Miami, the other night, had 53 points in the first quarter. I was watching it. Second most in NBA history, most in franchise history. So, again, it's a lot to keep our mind on everything, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. Joe Lozito joins us next on the Yard Sale episode to talk about everything here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and the Game Plus TV network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV. Don't just rep the show you love, wear it. Something like that. Go to rodpeterson.com, click on store, and there we go. Joe Lozito joins us from where the hell are you, Joe?
Hey, Roddy. Today I'm at home, Massapequa, Long Island, New York.
Oh, okay, good. You're back. Well, I appreciate you finding the time to join us. I gave you a very big billboard of a build-up there. Bills fan, Islanders podcaster. You're on a Canadian tour. But listen, we have a lot to talk about. We have 20 minutes here to do it, and I appreciate that. We'll get to the sports. But Joe, I told you I was going to bring this up. If somebody Googled you, what would they find?
Well, if somebody Googles me, I would definitely say be prepared if you click on the image portion because there's some pretty graphic images. Almost 15 years ago now, Roddy. It's been almost 15 years. I was part of a news cycle. I was attacked on a New York City subway by a spree killer. He had murdered 4 people the prior 28 hours to attacking me. And he attacked me and I fought back. And fortunately, there's a lot of stuff in between, but I lived to tell the tale. And I'm here. I've had 14 and a half years of tomorrows to spend with my family. And I'll tell the story to anybody, as a matter of fact, like you do the inspirational speaking and things like that. That's something I'm looking to break into myself because if my story is inspirational to anybody and I can spread the word and inspire people, that's what I'd love to do.
Dude, you wrap that up very succinctly because there's way more to this story. And let me help you in however you want. But that's the thing, everybody. Yeah. Joe Lozito, to quote your icon, John Frenzy, he's a winner all the way. Joe Lozito. Okay. So now, having said all that, we're going to get to your Bills and your Islanders who are on the road tonight at New Jersey. But frankly, my guilty pleasure is like yours. It's junior hockey. So I'm a little envious, bro, about your last little northern tour here. Would you tell folks what you were just doing?
Yeah, for sure. So 3 seasons ago, my oldest son and I, we decided we were going to head up to Ontario. We're going to catch, maybe 4 games in 4 nights, 5 games in 5 nights. And we just it's sort of like something your dad could relate to being a scout. We just go up and we map out our game plan before we go and we hit different rinks. And for myself, I get to see some old friends that I knew as players and now are in executive roles or coaching roles and stuff like that. And it's become an annual thing for my son Joey and I. And when you texted me yesterday about the football game, we're actually at our last game. It was the 5th game in 5 days. We're up in Brantford, Ontario, and we had hit a couple of cities before that. And we love doing it. We just drive up and we're going town to town. And it's just a nice road trip. For myself, my sons are getting older now. My son that I went on the trip with, he's 25. I have a 22-year-old. So any opportunity I get to spend time with them, it's wonderful. And both my sons love hockey, and Joey, he definitely is more into the junior side, where Dominic focuses mostly more on the NHL, and it's just a lot of fun. And the thing I get out of it is something I think you really could appreciate is how much these teams mean to the communities, because we go to cities like London and Windsor where they're bigger and they're big in the city, but we've been to cities like Sudbury and North Bay, and we were just up in the Sioux, and these towns, these teams mean so much to the towns. And I kind of sit there being from New York, we have New York City here, I'm on Long Island, but just to see these small towns and how much these junior hockey clubs mean to these towns and these cities, I sit back and it's really good to see. It's sort of the lifeblood of the city, and I love it. And we're already talking about next year. We just have to wait for the schedule to come out.
Well, you do a great job speaking. You do a great job speaking, Joe. We got to get you doing more of that. But I quite frankly regularly talk about my 20 years in the CFL. I don't talk enough about my 20 years in junior hockey. And quite frankly, at the start, I kind of took it for granted. I didn't realize until I got out of it how awesome it is. I didn't know that. And in those small towns, as you say, when the team takes the ice, that's cool stuff.
It's phenomenal. It's great. And, we were in Windsor a couple of days ago, and the head coach there, Greg Walters, and I'll say it, he should have won Coach of the Year last year in the OHL. But as you know, Roddy, sometimes politics play a part in sports. And Wally should have won Coach of the Year last year, but he didn't. But we go back a long way. And He invited my son and I to come to the morning skate, and I met a bunch of the guys. And Windsor's a team for you folks out west that only follow the Western League. I think you're going to see them in Kelowna this year in the Memorial Cup. There's some good OHL teams. I'm biased towards Windsor, but as I was saying, we just go to the morning skate and you meet these kids, and they're a great group of kids. And I just, like I said, I just love it. I grew up in an NHL city. I grew up in Queens, New York, and then on Long Island. So I've been around the NHL. And by the time I see these players, they're adults. I mean, obviously, when they come in as rookies, they're kids. But I get to see these players as full-grown adults. And now in the last 3 years, I get to see these guys as kids, and to see this Windsor team. They're kind of built like an NHL team. They have defined roles for all their players. They have a bunch of first round picks on the team. A guy you and I have texted about, Ethan Belchez. That's the guy I want the Islanders to somehow find a way to draft this year. He's going to be a top 5 pick. So it's fun, Roddy. You know what? It's fun. It really brings back my love of hockey. I sometimes get jaded with the NHL, and I go to these junior games and I just look at my son every game and I go, I love watching this league. I love watching this level of hockey. And I'd recommend anybody that is strictly from an NHL city or a professional city, if you have the opportunity to go watch some junior games, I would do it, because it's absolutely wonderful. It's fascinating and it's exciting. It's sort of like the hockey I grew up on.
Yeah, the kids are playing for their lives for a variety of reasons. And there's an impromptu junior hockey report for our friends at the Mad Greek Eatery in Moose Jaw. Hey, Nelson writes in. Hey, stick tap, he said. Nelson writes in. He says, Joe is always so well-spoken and well-versed. Stick tap. Here's a stick tap for
Nelson.
Joe Lozito. Okay, can we just for a second, I'm going to bring you down. No. First, I'll build you up.
Okay.
Ryan in Saratoga, New York writes in. He says, what a great beard. How long you been growing that baby, Joe?
Oh God, Roddy, I've been growing it for years. I think it stopped. It should be done. I should have ZZ Top level beard right by now, but I think it stops. But I try to take good care of it. So.
Okay. And I'm going to bring you down by talking about the Bills. They were I thought they were the best team. I had a Buffalo-Detroit Super Bowl. And after what I saw in Miami yesterday, which I know you didn't watch, but trust me, you didn't miss anything. They were bad. Although maybe that's a kick in the butt they need. I don't know. How are you Bills fans taking it?
Well, a lot of people are taking it worse than I am. I generally try to be the optimist and try to look at the positives, and I don't think there are any positives from yesterday. They generally go through a 2-game losing streak every year, and when they're done with that 2-game losing streak, they usually take off. So they've already had that losing streak this year, and coming out of the bye, they destroyed Carolina. They had an impressive victory over Kansas City, and I don't know what happened yesterday, if they were looking ahead to Tampa next week, but I mean, for McDermott to get outcoached by Mike McDaniel of all people, I don't even know what to say. It's obvious this team has a glaring weakness at wide receiver, and the unfortunate thing is this is nothing new. This has been something they've had since Stephon Diggs left, and I was happy to see him go. I think for everything he does on the field, his off the field stuff is a distraction. And the unfortunate thing is right now, they're wasting Josh Allen's prime years. They need to bring in some wide receivers. And I know Brandon Beane tried to make some trades at the deadline, but unfortunately the teams that were looking to dump wide receivers were teams like Miami and the Jets, and they're in the Bills division, so they're not going to deal with them. This is something that needs to be addressed. A lot of Bills fans have been calling for a McDermott's head and Beane's head for a few seasons now, and I've always been the one that said no, because who are you going to bring in that's better? And I think this season, more than any, I'm sort of the mindset of, I don't know if anyone's necessarily going to be better, but maybe you have to bring in different voices. And I want to see how the rest of the season goes. And if a loss at Miami against basically a minor league football team in absolute disarray, and the way the Patriots have picked up their game this year, if that's not the kick in the pants that they need, then they're in more trouble than any of us know.
Well, again, well said. Sometimes these teams need a kick in the butt. It's not going to be smooth all the way through. So we'll see. We'll see what this does for them. What about the news, the breaking news out of the Big Apple today that Brian Daboll was fired? I was kind of waiting for it, weren't you?
Yeah, I think it was just a matter of time. And Daboll, he was here, offensive coordinator here. Well, not here. He was up in Buffalo, and he got the opportunity to coach the Giants. And the Giants they're sort of hot one week, not hot the next week, and they have a lot of troubles. And they lost Scattaboo, and I heard Dart got a concussion yesterday. It might just be time to move on from him, but I don't think anyone is surprised, to be honest with you. I think, like you say, we're just sitting here waiting for it to happen. And from everything I've heard, he seems to be a pretty decent guy that knows his stuff, and I hope he gets another opportunity somewhere.
I think he's a great coach. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't know who could be successful with the New York Giants. I wish well to Kafka. Okay. Daryl is watching in Calgary. He writes in on the Western Dodge text line, and he says, great episode with Joe discussing junior hockey. Please tell him to head to Alberta and the AJHL. We would love to have him in Canmore and enjoy an Eagles game. Joe, you're going to be like the Pope. You've made a Western run, right? Didn't you go my old stomping grounds in PA, or am I wrong? Didn't you go out west?
I went out west. One of the things I want to say is I'm really happy about the Rough Riders. And years ago, a group of Rough Rider fans and CFL fans overall, they actually pulled their money together and flew me out to Saskatchewan for the Labor Day Classic, and it was wonderful. So I'm really happy that the Riders are there. I'm happy that the Riders are there, but I'm really happy for the people that I know out there, because I know it means the world to them. And I've never been out to PA. I would love. My son and I were actually talking about that, just with the different Western League teams out in Saskatchewan, and then the SJ teams. I'm friends with Killer Kaminsky there in Larange, so we would love to get out to Saskatchewan at some point and hit Alberta as well.
Okay, so there you go. Joe Lozito coming to an arena near you, everybody. No promises yet. Okay, and so speaking of So back to the NHL. You see why I'm calling this the yard sale episode. This has been a yard sale, but I'm okay with it. You can talk about a variety of things. The Islanders are at New Jersey tonight, one of 4 games. The Rangers, meanwhile, home to Nashville. You want the Islanders to lose? Do you want to explain that to the viewers?
Yes. So the Islanders are my team. I don't want them to lose. I will never root against the Islanders. But that being said, in a matter of a few seasons, they have gone from one of the teams that has the absolute worst prospect pools to probably one of the top 1 or 2 prospect pools in the league. This is one of those years, it's sort of a transition year where they're starting to introduce the young kids. Matthew Schaefer is an absolute stud. My choice for Rookie of the Year, obviously, but he's just the start. They have so many good young prospects coming along. And my take on it is, if they were to make the playoffs, they're going to get in as an 8 seed or a 7 seed, and they're probably just going to get dummied by Washington or Carolina. I mean, obviously, once the playoffs start, anything can happen, but thinking logically, I'd rather them miss the playoffs and be a lottery team than be the 8th seed and just be a sacrificial lamb. And I had mentioned already Ethan Belchez. That's the guy I want the Islanders to get, and the only way they're going to get him is if they're in the lottery. So I do not actively root for them to lose. I accept the losses a little easier this season if that's diplomatic enough.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's funny? I root for the coaches. I think you do, especially a guy like Patrick Waugh, because I love his fire. He's like one of my favorite goalies of all time. But I love that Martin St. Louis survived Montreal's rebuild long enough to be around for what they're enjoying now. Do you think Patrick Waugh will be in the same position?
Yeah, I think so. I think with Matthew Darche coming in to be the GM, I mean, I think people sometimes get provincial, and I think with Matthew Darche being a French Canadian, Patty Waugh being a French Canadian, Patty Waugh's right-hand man, Benoit Desrosiers, he's French Canadian, and then they made some changes on the coaching staff to help with the PK and the power play, including bringing in Bobby Bugner. And he's done really well with the penalty killing this year. So I think so. I think Darche Darche comes from a winning team. He comes from Tampa. He knows how to win. He's seen how they put organizations together, winning organizations. So I think Darche is smart enough to know that, this is the start of sort of weeding out the older players, bringing in the younger players. And I have no qualm saying it. I think in 3 to 4 seasons, this team is going to be a problem for everybody.
Joe Lozito joining us from the Coliseum Chronicles podcast, where he chronicles the Coliseum and the Islanders. And I get a kick out of and low-key admire your hatred of the New York Rangers to the degree that you said you guys used to joke about Ron Duguay. I won't say what you used to joke about, but that's how much you hate the New York Rangers. So the fact that they're 0-6 at home with a new coach, you must just be tickled.
Yeah, I love it. And just to talk about Duguay for a minute, that was when I was a lot younger and maybe a little more impetulant or whatever you want to say. But obviously, I respect the man, and as I got older, I respect the style of play he was. But he was a pretty boy, and I think my mom actually had a crush on him at one point. But that's a good-looking man right there. That's a good-looking man, Roddy. So but yeah, having the Rangers, the Islanders just beat them. They shut them out at the Garden 5-0. The Rangers haven't won at home yet. And the reality is I think they've played 6 games at home and have 6 goals, and the Islanders played 1 game at the Garden and have 5 goals. So they're outscoring the Islanders 6-5 at Madison Square Garden this year. And I love the fact that the Islanders have more wins at the Garden than the Rangers do this season.
The greatest quote, I think, to ever come out of New York, at least hockey circles, was Herb Brooks saying his biggest challenge coaching the Rangers, do you know the quote? Was that his wife had a picture of Ron Duguay on the nightstand by their bed? You must have heard that.
I'm not surprised. I probably did. I mean, and for us down here, Herbie being the 1980 Olympic coach, we're well familiar with a lot of his quotes. He has some great ones, but I absolutely believe that one. I mean, what can you say? I'm comfortable enough to say that is a good-looking man.
Yeah, and a great guy. I mean, I feel bad. He actually invited me up to Alaska to hang out with him and Sarah Palin, and I said no. I felt bad afterwards, but I'm like, I don't want to go to Alaska. You want to come down here in Florida? Yeah, I get a. You love Florida too. You're going to live here one day, are you not, Joe?
Yeah, that's the plan. The plan is to head down to Florida at some point. It's funny because on our way home yesterday, we drove home from Canada yesterday, and I laughed because when we planned our trip last year, we actually didn't get to a game in Owen Sound because of the snow. And I said this year, let's plan the trip for November. So hopefully we won't hit any snow. And the first 4 days, it was great. It was a little chilly, but I don't mind that. And then yesterday in Brantford, we woke up to snow. So the first half of the trip home was a little treacherous. And I don't mind the cold and I don't mind the snow, but I think like a lot of people, as you get older, you sort of gravitate towards the warm weather. And my wife, Andrea, she's always been a sun worshiper, so she can't wait to get out of here.
Well, she's a classy dame, and she can
is.
sure pick them,
Yes.
and we got to have the more hockey people we can have down here in Florida, the better. By the way, a minute to go. Will you be watching the Grey Cup Sunday, and if so, where?
Actually, if I was going to be home, I would definitely be watching it. I will actually be up in Buffalo at the Bills game, so I will have to DVR the game and watch it when I get back.
And you'll be cheering for?
Oh, the Riders! Come on, that's a no-brainer. I mean, they're going to win. It's ordained. It's going to happen. No problem. Automatic.
There you go. It's the Joe Lozito. Frenzy will be watching from his living room in the sky. You know that for a fact. Oh my God, we'll have to be settling him down. Yeah. Okay, Joe. From the Coliseum Chronicles podcast, you can get it wherever you enjoy your podcast. Thanks for the time, brother. Keep up the great work. Keep in touch.
Love you, Roddy. Anytime.
Love you too, buddy. Joe Lozito watches this show every single day. We'll be right back with a sports update, everybody, and viewer takeover the rest of the way. We're live on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network across Nevada, and of course, on Game Plus TV.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. On this Monday edition of the RP Show, there will be a November 11th edition, just so you know. And before we get to the aforementioned sports update, as I mentioned, just emptying out the text line for Western Dodge. Are you ready for a new ride? Head to Western Dodge, where the deals are real and the service is legendary. Check them out at westerndodge.ca. Rhonda writes in, she says, what about Clace and Ortiz getting indicted on betting schemes in MLB? I'm waiting for the MLB to investigate Ohtani on his betting and not using his translator as the pansy. Hang on, we'll get to hang on, Grasshopper. With regards to the Oilers' goaltending problems, but not wanting to sign Carter Hart. Ron in Coquitlam, BC writes in and says they don't want to sign a great goalie because of off-ice issues, but happily sign Corey Perry. Ridiculous. Biggest week of the year in Canadian football, it is the Grey Cup. Vintage Sasko writes in, he says, hi, Reverend Rodney. This is an up week. No voice, tickets and hotel ready. Party time in the Peg. LFG, baby. Signed, Vintage Sasko, formerly Fake Gainer. If you know, you know. Let me get into the sports update because we're going to run out of time reading comments from you beautiful viewers. I'll get back to those in a second. It's brought to you by the Ultimate Fan Zone, your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. Visit them today or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca. The New York Giants have fired coach Brian Daboll. Call it Black Monday. The move by ownership and general manager Joe Shane was made a day after the Giants blew a late lead and lost 24-20 to the Bears. Falling to 2-8, New York has lost 4 in a row since upsetting defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia at home in prime time. Offensive coordinator Mike Kafka was named as the interim coach. Washington Commanders defensive tackle Darren Payne has been suspended for 1 game without pay by the NFL for hitting Detroit Lions receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown during the team's game. Payne was suspended this morning. And Cleveland Guardians pitcher Luis Ortiz is due in court on charges accusing him and teammate Emmanuel Clase of taking bribes to help bettors in their native Dominican Republic win prop bets placed on pitches they threw. According to the indictment against the two, the highly paid hurlers took several $1,000s in payoffs to help two unnamed gamblers in their home country win at least $460,000 on bets placed on the speed and outcome of certain pitches. That is your sports update, proudly presented by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store. Get your game day gear in store or online. Shop ultimatefanzone.ca. You know, Rhonda wanted me to talk about that, but I'm like, what do you want me to say? What do you think about it, Rhonda? 902-518-3033. I mean, can you just imagine being a commissioner of the leagues right now, and for that matter, the owners and the general managers, the coaches? You got Chauncey Billups as a coach sitting in jail. He's a coach. That had nothing to do with betting, but you get where I'm coming from. It's like that old whack-a-mole. Just when you whack one, pops up here. Baby. How do you keep a lid on this? I will be honest. I watch sports. 98% of my viewing is sports, and I see all these betting ads pop up, and I sit here and go, I'm so glad that I don't bet. Making picks is one thing, and I was enjoying Mike Florio this morning. That's why him and I get along. We see things the same way. Somebody was up his ass about, you're anti-betting, but you make picks on your show. And Florio's like, I'll say whatever I want. Same thing as here. We don't bet, but you make picks. So what? Just don't want any part of it. And listen, I don't know. I guess I do work in NCAA baseball and so forth, and I'm around the kids. I've never seen signs in their clubhouses about anti-betting, but I know the major league teams have the signs. The teams must be having preseason seminars with their players telling them not to do it. I'm gonna be honest with you. They're young men. They make mistakes. That's how I would look at it. I made $1 million. Thank God betting wasn't a thing around when I was young and stupid. I feel like we need to continue this after. What do you think about the betting? What should happen to these guys? Because it's like, off with your head. I think that's a little harsh. We'll be back in a moment. We're live on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network all across Nevada, the gambling capital, of course, and across Canada and 32 U.S. states here on the Game Plus TV network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Okay, we're back here for overtime, and this is going to go fast and clear some space. I'm going to get up on the soapbox here in a second, but I will tell you that we're brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes. Ba-ba-ba-boom. Looking for a great place to perfect your shot? Why not go to Overtime Hockey Lanes, where they now have professional shooting instructing? I saw that on their social media channels. You should go look them up at Overtime HL on Facebook and Instagram. Can't get Randy going on Twitter for some reason. He's not interested in it, but that's fine. Again, look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Baseball has batting cages. Golf has driving ranges. Why wouldn't hockey have shooting lanes? We do in Calgary. 28th Street, Northeast Calgary, one of my favorite cities in the world. Okay, so Rhonda in Speedy Creek brought up the two pitchers from Cleveland in trouble now for affecting prop bets. Class A. She says, Class A, I'm sorry. Never did know how to say it all year long. Rhonda says on the Western Dodge text line, if they did it, they are not the sharpest knives in the drawer. Oh my God, professional athletes doing that, they'll lose so much if it's true. That's, to me, that argument is immaterial. They did it. They've been charged. They're appearing in court today. So to say, how could you do that is kind of immaterial. They did it. So now what? Number two, young men are dumb. Rhonda, did you know that? Young men are dumb. I know that because I was one. And I've been around it my whole life. And Nelson writes in, he says, hot take, this has been going on for a long time, but more regulation around gambling has brought it to light. I'm not sure I agree with that. Now, I did not work at the big league level, but for decades, or not till now, but for decades with the players that I was around, and let's remember, I was their age. Nobody bet. If they did, nobody talked about it. It wasn't a thing. I don't think it's been around for decades. Maybe with some guys. And back then, it wasn't even trackable like it is now. Can I go back to young men or dumb to say, how could you do such a thing? That doesn't surprise me at all. Rhonda, with young athletes, and the money is a temptation. A lot of the guys that are getting caught up on this have come from no money, so there's a lure there for them. And I think my question was, what should be done with these guys? Because it seems to be a one strike and you're out rule in pro sports right now. And or not even pro sports, which college has basically become pro sport. But look at Arlen Bruce IV. He had a gambling violation at Iowa in the NCAA, and he's banned in the CFL because of that. That is nowhere near right for me. But again, they're not calling and asking me for any thoughts on this. Again, I don't think it's been around forever, but it's here now. And you know what? Maybe they don't need to sit and discuss it anymore because they've made their decision. You do it once and you're gone. I'll also say, when you're doing, let me preface this by saying I've never been charged with anything in my life and don't plan to be. But when you're doing something illegal, you don't plan to get caught. Let's say speeding. Let's just say something as simple as speeding is breaking the law. You don't plan to get caught. You don't think you will. You think you'll outsmart the system. Does that all make you, Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in, he says, betting is way easier now. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I get so sick of it. There's a security guard at the Panthers games. He's a cool guy. I like him. But he's always going on and on about his bets. And I just feel like saying, I don't care. He's like, I got Bobrovsky at plus 20 saves, and I got Sam Reinhart at plus 3 shots. I'm like, can you please stop? Like, I don't care. All I can say is, I'm glad that I don't do it. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in, he says, seems like human nature for people to want to find loopholes if they exist. The old, it ain't cheating if you don't get caught rationale. Let's say this. My niece, we were having a discussion about this, and at the time she was like 8. And her mom said to her, you know, it's illegal to rob the bank. She turned and looked up and said, not if you don't get caught. So the players did it. They didn't expect to get caught. So to say, how could they do such a thing? They did it. So I just think it's a little too heavy-handed. The explosion in popularity of sports betting. I mean, we should follow us around with a camera all the time. We were just saying the other day that Vegas, for the longest time, was the only place you could bet. And then it was Atlantic City or the state of New Jersey and Vegas. Now you can do it everywhere. Jerry Tarkanian got in a lot of trouble at UNLV. He was ahead of his time. So to say, you're dumb if you do this, you're dumb if you speed, you're dumb if you rob a bank. You didn't think you were going to get caught. Wayne in BC writes in, he says, thanks, Rod, for another great RP show. I'm fired up for the Riders playing in the Grey Cup on Sunday. Go, Riders, go. Rick in Martinsville writes in regarding Joe Lozito. He says, an Islanders and Riders fan. Love it. Kirk in Toronto watching on Game Plus says, hey, Rod, everyone's talking about Mike O'Shea, but the hot rumor that's not going away is Chris Jones will be the next head coach of the Argos. Is it crazy to mention Brian Daboll? Yes, it is. I will say, well, the Leafs suck, so I guess that's your focus, and probably still a little brokenhearted about the Blue Jays. And by the way, was that not the team that you wrote off? No, it was the Argos you wrote off. Turns out you were right, Kirk. So, yeah. Not spending a lot of time this week on the next coach of the Argonauts, but God bless you for doing so. Whatever sports you watch tonight, got a hell of a Monday nighter tonight, a banger. Eagles and Packers. Enjoy it. We'll reconvene here tomorrow and observe. Thanks to Joe Lozito and Scruffy today for stirring it all up. Be good to each other, and most importantly, yourself. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and the Game Plus TV network.
That